do the program director of criminal justice's job. Am I gonna get rewarded on that? No!
It's not your job.
Absolutely not, because I didn't do my job. So, and most people are spending and wasting time on things because of judgments and values that they don't even value. But they're spending that, and it is pain as pleasure. So what I want you to pay attention to with clients, first of all, to 0 to 100. When clients are all or none, you know that there is an issue there. You know that there's a pain as pleasure or as pleasure as pain. One or the other. It's immediate, you can go right to it. The other thing is, if you're working with them and you ask them about the bad buckets, if you ask them write down the good and the bad of their parents, which one they're most like. So Eli might say, I'm like my mom, because she's insisted that they're twins.
He's a chatterbox like me. So when he says, I know I talk a lot, and he feels bad about it, he's like, I know I talk a lot. And I'm like, so? So did I. My name was Chatterbox when I was in kindergarten.
Right,
So
and
it's
then
normal.
talk about all the assets of being a chatterbox. How chatterboxes get more jobs, how chatterboxes are the leaders, how chatterboxes are the ones that can get in and out of situations, you know, more easier. They're not shy.
Yeah.
They're likely to be more successful. There's a lot of positive, trust me, because I'm a chatterbox. And
And
I've
I
had
told
to
him.
say, wait a minute, what has this done for me? Yes. Have I learned to be quiet and listen because my job requires it? Of course. Of course.
The irony.
But, the irony, but it's not an irony. I obviously chose this profession so I can learn to listen and talk less. It was one of the ways that I can heal myself, because I also was insulted at being such a talker. That was something I was criticized as a child. So if now I can listen to you guys more than talk, which is probably even, then I'm satisfying and healing that wound, or at least trying to heal that wound. We don't pick our profession accidentally. There's usually a reason.
Which is why I wonder why he likes cooking so much.
Who?
Eli. Because yesterday we were cooking pancakes together and he was just so happy to cook pancakes with me. I'm like,
Well, cooking has to do with the mom. Cooking has to do with nurturance. Cooking has to do with nourishment. Cooking has to do with the womb.
yeah, but he's so quiet.
Or probably.
He's cooking. He doesn't talk a lot. He's like so focused on like, normally if you tell him, okay, put it like this, and he'll do it like this, and I'm like, Eli, I just said, put it like this. Like, were you listening? Well, with the cooking spray yesterday, he was spraying it around, not where you put pancakes. And I said, all right, babe, it's gonna burn. No, I put the cooking spray. I said, yeah, but where did you spray it? He goes, around here. I said, but the pancake was here. You need to
Okay, so
spray
did
here.
you see something that she did differently in these two examples?
Yes.
This may or may not be it. I'm just observing. The phone example, when you said you put it this way, I just told you,
Yeah.
versus she taught him something
Mhm.
when she cooked with him.
Yeah, I had to
She's
slow my
like,
brain.
it's going to burn because this is how you do it.
And then he did it
So
and
it
he
may
learned.
be the way that you're relating to him in the kitchen versus the way you're relating it to him outside of the kitchen.
Yeah. I'm working on, there's a lot I'm trying to work on, and that's when I said,
But don't
Yes.
become an overachiever either,
Mhm.
because you already fucked up, because you had children that have bodies and bodies are flawed. So
yeah.
you already fucked them up. Welcome to the world of motherhood.
Oh,
where
yeah.
Perfection doesn't exist.
Yes.
So that's our best friend, is to understand, well, I already fucked them up. I got the most beautiful message from my daughter last night. She just went on and on and on and on about how she loves me so much and I'm the best mother in the world. And she can't believe that she's so lucky to have me as a mom. And she's like, when you had chemo and you would tell me that you're such a terrible mom, like that would break my heart and this and this and that. And I by no means have done anything right with these kids. I have fucked up my kids royally and I have done it all wrong. If anything, I have started to change maybe about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. With the first cancer, I started to change. And the other day we were out with Deidre and we went to go get coffee and I'm like, I used to be so angry. I was like a really, really angry, bitter bitch. Like, I was not a nice person. I had a nice side to me, because I've always had a compassionate, nice side. But I was so angry at myself for decisions and choices that I had made in my life that I was so bitter. And that's changed. And of course, that's allowed me to become a better mother. And she was saying, so many moms will not accept their children just as they are, but you accept us just as we are. And that has been the change that I have made with my kids. And that just started a few years ago.
And ever since you said that, I feel like even Paula and I talking about it, when it comes to the kids, we're just gonna let them be. That's it. Like, we're just gonna let them play whatever silly game they want, let them do what they're gonna do, we're not gonna try to micromanage.
Right,
And ever
and
since,
shove them into this box of what we think. Because we are not putting our kids in a box that's for their best interest. It's for our best interest, to make us feel better.
if you listen, I won't have a headache. If you, yeah.
And so when I realized my kids are just my kids, they are 3 beautiful human beings, that I have done a decent job. I mean, I fucked up a lot, but I also did some good. I gave them good values. I taught them, a lot about spirituality and mental health and things like that. I mean, values that I think are important. They have that in them. Plus I'm a good person. I was bitter and angry, but I'm a good person. I had to give them that just through my good buckets. Then I have to have faith that they're gonna be good people. And they are good people. And my twins turned 20 the other day, and I just wrote them each a card. Like, it's such a blessing and it's such a gift to watch you grow into these children with just such character and such strength and courage and such a beautiful soul. Like, that's how I feel about them. And those are the values that matter. Do I want my kids to be successful? Do I want them to have a good job? Do I want them to not struggle financially? Of course, because it's gonna make their life easier.
Yeah.
But it's not my life. If they want to be a starving artist and that's the way they want to live, on a freaking, bed, mattress on a floor, what the hell is it to me? If I get angry, if I judge them for that, that's my issue. That's my hang up.
Thank you.
Oh my God, what will people say? Then I don't give a shit about my kid.
And my grandfather used to say, when I told him, like my ex-husband, you were supposed to marry, oh my God, I have to remember how he said it, because he's from Czech Republic too, so his accent's like super heavy. You were supposed to marry a guy who's gonna take you to the ball, and you're wearing gowns, and I'm like, Grandpa, where are you thinking this is gonna happen? I haven't even heard of a ball. Like, okay, yeah, and me and my friend always joked that one day we were gonna rent out ball gowns and jewelry and stuff, and we were gonna dress up for no reason. We were just gonna dress up and drink in them and pretend we were at a ball. I mean, we already played surfboard on a wobbly pool table. Why not? But the way he said it, you're supposed to find, that's a cool drunk game that we did. I almost broke my neck. But it was fun, it was worth it. But this ball gown thing, going to the ball, and I said, what do you mean? This guy's supposed to have money, supposed to take you out dancing, and you're supposed to have all these life experiences. I'm like, I am living life, I am experiencing.
But that's his dream for himself, or his dream for you, but it's his.
Yeah, that's his dream for me, and he said, because your mother didn't do it, I want you to do it. And I'm like,
but that's about the parent or the grandparent. It has nothing to do with the well-being of the child. Doesn't mean that we don't want these things for our children for our best interest, but really, when it imposes on who they are, then we're really limiting them as a person, and we're not accepting them as a person. And the first thing we know about therapy is that we want to validate and have the client accept themselves, become aware. We want awareness around our issues, but we have to learn to self-accept. That's the opposite of self-hatred, self-love. So a day like yesterday, self-care day, is to try to teach people to love themselves. In Lucifer, when he's like the forgiveness part, he's like, oh, I forgive myself. That's self-love. Self-love is actually self-forgiveness.
I like
That's
Lucifer
super important.
because he's like, he always talks to God and he's like, how are these humans living? Like, what is this? And I love him.
It's
I
such a
love-
great
it's a
show
great
because they
show.
play on the divinity and the humanity in
Yeah.
such an amazing way.
I started watching American Gods.
Oh my God, I love
Yo, I
American
wanted
Gods.
to
Anything
see
to do
that.
with myth.
How is
Yes, it's crazy. Like I just happened to watch a later episode where she's like, where the internet is connecting to something and she wasn't supposed to do that, but she had her pleasure moment off of not doing what she wasn't supposed to do. And then the guy's like, we're gods, we're not supposed to be doing this. And I'm just like, the show is hella interesting, but
That show is so clever because the gods are doing wrong shit.
Yeah.
Who is that?
That's
Who are they
us.
representing?
Us.
Us. Demigods.
and that's what I told the kids.
The gods doing human shit.
Yeah.
That is what that show is about. Another excellent show that has captured it beautifully.
And that's what I told the kids yesterday, like, his blanket was extra, it's that huge white blanket.
Yeah.
You can't make on a small ass bed. And I said, babe, all you gotta do is fold it
That's right.
over. And he goes, oh, but I cleaned it and I do everything wrong. And I'm like, no, just flip the damn blanket over, tuck it into the wall. It's not that serious. I just feel like I do everything wrong. And I'm like, we're always gonna do everything wrong.
This is Eli?
Yeah.
Okay, so is he doing pain as pleasure or pleasure as pain?
Pleasure is
pain is pleasure?
Pain as pleasure.
Always.
He's suffering. If I suffer more, your mom,
Mm-hmm.
if I am a saint and I suffer, what is my payment?
The lashes. The
end product.
What have we been conditioned to believe? If I suffer on this land, I am going to get rewarded in an afterlife. People that have this tend to have very strong spiritual or religious upbringings. Not all the time, but they were taught something. It doesn't mean that they were churchgoers. It doesn't mean, in my case, I went to this cult. So very usually there's a strong religious component. I will be rewarded in an afterlife, whatever that afterlife is to them. Okay? So her mom is a perfect suffrage. Oh my God, let me suffer, suffer, suffer. And of course she wants you to suffer. So what product does the mother have? The mother has pleasure as pain. Because of course she's Lilith, of course she's the prostitute, and she's the worst devil in the world.
damn devil.
So the saint had the devil. That's the irony. That's why these shows resonate.
Yeah.
Because you're actually living that myth so much. Your mom is the divine, my ass, and you're the human aspect of her. The human or the divine had a devil baby. Please, it's perfect for TV. Her
Oh
story.
yeah, our
It is.
story, shit.
It's perfect.
Our story is a novella.
You know, I've always said that all these teen moms have cameras in there, and
Yo,
why
I hate TV
can't
shows like that.
we have like cameras in our houses and just get
You
paid?
can, and you can be an Instagram success. And then
You
you can
have
have
to
me
write
narrate.
something and get-
Then you can have me narrate what's really going on psychologically. That'd be a great show.
It
You
would.
guys do your thing, I watch it and narrate it,
Mhm.
Oh
and
yeah.
then we're all
Yeah,
Instagram
we're all-
successes.
And he now sits on the couch, realizing he done fucked up.
Watch all this shit.
This is XYZ.
This is what it's going to lead to. Nicole's gonna walk away and not say shit, and Paula's gonna tell her mom to fuck off.
And the myth that they're living, XYZ.
And they're both gonna go out and get drunk as shit and laugh at both of them.
So, do you guys remember Chiron?
Chiron, yeah.
Okay, because you've been here the longest. Okay. So Chiron is a creature from mythology. And he's half animal, half human. Have you ever seen those?
Centaur.
Centaur. He's a centaur, exactly.
Perfect.
The horse.
So he's a half horse.
Not- not
Okay.
what I'm
If
talking
you
about.
ever saw Percy Jackson,
Yeah.
if
Oh,
you ever
yes.
saw Percy
Definitely
Jackson, Pierce Brosnan plays him. Okay? So in mythology, there's two types of centaurs. There's Chiron, who's elevated and educated.
Then you have the war-bidden ones.
And then you have Chiron, that's Chiron. The other centaurs, well, that's not the other centaurs, are drunks and rapists.
Oh, I never heard those.
Which one do you want to be? The drunk and the raper, or the elevated, educated centaur?
I never heard of those
It's
sentences.
just-
Drunken rapists.
You want to be the drunk
I said I
rapist?
never heard of those.
Yeah, so there's two kinds of centaurs in mythology,
Yeah.
okay? Chiron is educated and elevated. That's his name, Chiron.
Yeah.
These also have names, but they're generic. I don't know them.
Yeah.
But in general, they're drunk and they're rapists. Which one do you want to be? Chiron, the elevated, educated centaur, or the regular drunk rapist centaur?
Is there a middle?
Yeah, because
I don't wanna be
like
too
the-
good or too bad.
This is all you get. Which one?
I wanted the drinking one.
Okay.
I love
The one she wants is a drinking one. Pleasure is pain.
I love it.
Pleasure is pain. She's like, this is pleasure. Fuck that. The minute you have pleasure, there's pain in that pleasure. Because after she drunks and rapes, she's going to beat herself up. Who wants to be Chiron?
I wanna be elevated, I just.
Okay, so those of us that want to be
Chiron.
Chiron are pain as pleasure. We're going to be educated and elevated. We're going to suffer in this one, and we're going to get rewarding for being so good. Ideally, of course, there should be a middle ground, and that's the whole story of Chiron. So Chiron is half animal, half human. Where does the animal and the human, where does the animal end and the human begin?
The animal's bottom.
Torso.
Yeah.
At the torso, right here. What chakra is right
Second
here?
chakra.
The third
I mean,
chakra.
third.
Whoa,
Sorry.
wait.
Third chakra.
Yeah.
Chakra.
Okay, so you haven't been here for the chakras.
Nope, not.
So there's 7 energy centers in the body.
Okay.
Okay, so think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the lower ones. And these are the upper ones.
Okay.
They're energy circles that run up and down our body.
Okay.
Okay, they match those colors. The first one is red, the second one is orange, the
Oh,
third one is
those-
yellow. Okay, so those are the colors, that's why that's there, okay? The third chakra,
I'm laughing because I thought it was two at first.
Is the pain and pleasure?
the third chakra, no, the pain and pleasure is your second.
Oh, it's the second.
Yeah, because that's the sexual power, or sexual and creative one. The second chakra correlates with our sexual organs, okay? This is our center of pain and pleasure. When does our second chakra hurt, ladies?
When we pop our cherry.
When we have our children. It might hurt if you have sex,
Oh,
depending. Not everybody has pain. Not everybody has pain
I
when they
thought it
have
was that,
sex.
so I'm right there with you.
Not everybody has pain when they have sex, but you're not wrong. But when you have children,
No.
and when do you have pleasure in your second chakra?
Is that what?
When do you have pleasure in your second chakra? When you have sex. Okay? So, if the pain comes from motherhood and the pleasure comes from womanhood, it's the same thing as divine nature. That's the mom, right? The divine mother, Mary mother, red cheeks. And the womanhood is the sexual nature, the prostitute, the Lilith. It's the same thing. This is the symbol that I use of Venus. Venus represents woman, whether it's mother or woman. What is the common denominator in the second chakra between motherhood and womanhood? What was the same thing you answered for both questions? Sex.
That
Sex.
too, yeah.
Sex gives you the pain and the pleasure, because if you have pain when you're getting penetrated, that's one way of pain. If you're having the baby and you have pain, that's another way, but it's through sex. Okay? So all of us have this pain pleasure center. This is the second chakra. The centaur this is the animal,
Yeah.
and this is the human, right? Right here. This is where he turns.
Yeah.
It's at the third chakra, the yellow. The third chakra has to do with our power. Do you give your power away you give it to your mother, you give it away, you give it away, you give it away, I give it away, we all give away our power. Or do we own our power? That is the difference between whether or not we're a centaur or we're Chiron. It is not about being human. It is not in the divine. It's not in the divine. It has to do with humanness. In the earth, in the human experience, are we owning our power? Are we loving ourselves and forgiving ourselves for being human and imperfect? Or are we giving away our power and making others make us feel bad, or have judgments and values that we're honoring that are self-betraying? That's the difference. So in mythology, I have a whole chapter of this on my book. Chiron is about us being the centaur. We're still half animal, half human, but we've forgiven ourselves for our animal nature, for being human, for being dual, for not being perfect, for wanting pleasures like sex. But those are the places where we beat ourselves up. That we drink, that we have sex, that we like pleasure. So people that use hedonism or pleasure excessively, as Miss Centaur over here, have pleasure as pain. But those of us like me that have always been Miss Goody Two-Shoes use pain as pleasure. And simply this morning with my client, when she tells me I didn't bring my prednisone, I didn't bring my Advil, I didn't bring my walking stick, pleasure, pain is pleasure. Obvious. This was all explained in one comment that seemed to have nothing to do with anything, but he explained to her how she likes to suffer. Did I put suffer up here?
Yeah.
You did a couple times.
And so, whether or not we suffer with pain as pleasure, or pleasure as pain, we're suffering. And Buddha said that pain is necessary. Suffering is optional. Why is pain necessary? You learn, and because you're in a human body. You have no choice. You're gonna have pain. But do you have to suffer? No. We choose that.
That's why I stopped.
Like Jesus, we are choosing to suffer. And that's why they show us on the cross. To show us what the human being does. Now to tie this into astrology, we've got Saturn. Saturn is the devil. That's how he's depicted. The devil character is just a character. He's really just Saturn, the planet. Because what does Saturn have around it? Rings. And what do rings do?
Hold you down.
They limit us. Rings limit.
Very ironic.
Now, go back to wholeness, the soul, and go back to the body. Which limits us? The body. The minute we have a body, the devil exists in us. That's all that means. That the minute you're given a body, like Jesus, you are all of a sudden the devil inside. You have the devil inside, like the song says. The devil inside, every single one of us, the devil inside. That is, the minute we have a body, there's a devil, quote unquote, a dark wolf, a centaur that's in us. That's the part that we hate. That is why we don't love ourselves. The only thing that creates self-love is self-forgiveness. And what are we forgiving ourselves for being? Imperfect, human, having a body, being a centaur, liking sex, liking pleasures. All the human,
Like
earthly things.
that people tell us is wrong to like.
Exactly, which is called desires. And desires are found in the second chakra. So this has always been the focus of all religion, sex. And that's why people have such a freak out about sex. Oh my God.
Don't say the word.
Oh my God, it's horrible. Because it's how they control and dominate you.
I hate it so much.
So, that is my lecture on pleasure and pain and pain is pleasure. Any questions? What time is it?
46, but I have a random
45.
question.
Okay, yes.
Has nothing to do with this.
No problem.
But what does it mean